We've got the disciple Andrew from The Chosen, Noah James. Hey.
Hello, hello.
Okay, what a wild ride.
Yes.
How is life right now?
Oh, lots of wildness happening. Like, I feel like I have just come into Canada for the first time ever.
Yes.
I'm enjoying it. Quite cold.
Always.
I feel it, like, inside of my body, the cold.
Yeah, you're an LA boy, right?
I'm an LA city boy. I'm from Arizona, which is like 120 degrees Fahrenheit. So Celsius, I forget what that is, but it's like
hot.
Boiling hot.
Yeah.
So this is quite new, but you sort of get rejuvenated, I feel like. It shocks the system.
Yeah.
So, but life's good. Yeah, we're gearing up to film season 6, and we're gearing up to release season 5.
It's wild.
Yeah.
And I love following along because I feel like even as sort of newer performers, actors, we're journeying with you. Like this is a whole new thing for so many people. And I think a lot of actors end up defined by certain roles in their career, right? And I think you have a huge career ahead of you now. You're just getting started.
Thank you.
But really, if you look back years from now at Andrew, how will you think of it, and how has it helped kind of shape you as a performer?
Oh, I mean, Andrew to me is so close to my heart. That will never change. I love Andrew. I love the fact that I get to portray him, that I get to try to bring him to life. And in a way, you know, the scripts are what they are, and obviously the Bible is what it is, and we're not trying to in any way, replace or anything. It is its own thing. And so personality-wise, or what this person would have been like, it's hard. Sometimes you do have to kind of use your imagination or use context clues from the Bible to help. And so in a way, it's like this thing that I get to come into work and bring to life, and I just try to tell his story and the story of The Chosen the best way I possibly can. And so, yeah, it'll never leave me. I just love him. I think he's so lovely, and I'll always go to bat for Andrew.
Yeah, oh, I love that. And I mean, obviously, you were raised Jewish. So how do your friends and family feel about you being a disciple of Jesus?
Yeah, so great question. I think my grandparents at first were like, okay, like my grandson is about to be the way they phrased it to them. They were like, so my grandson's about to play a saint. In the, it's just a funny thing. But in a way, what's so cool about it is that I get to bring my Jewish heritage to set and to the show, and get to bring culturally, even, like, there's a way that we joke with each other. There's a thing that exists in Jewish families, and a lot of, I mean, there is that in a lot of families who might be, more like first generation in a place, or immigrant families. You get that very strong cultural thing where you just get each other, and you're, flying like that. And so I think Shahar and I get to have fun with that a lot. We get to try to make sure that we don't get too, when it comes to us personally in our relationship as brothers, we don't want to get too reverent with it and feel like at arm's length and hello, brother. It's like, no, we want to make fun of each other. We want to give each other a hard time. And then we want to also show the love that we have for each other. And so we get to bring a little bit of our Judaism onto the table.
You can feel it. I love it.
Oh, good.
You can feel it. I love it.
Exactly.
So what are your, because we're obviously, season 5 is the Last Supper. It's the Holy Week. What are your family traditions for Passover, and what are you going to be doing this year?
Oh, I love this. Okay. So Passover, it's funny because my grandma writes her own. So we have our own little, because they don't want to spend the 2 hours going through some of these Passover feasts, quote unquote feasts. You're like starving by the end of it. They take a very long time. And so my grandma's like, no,
get to the food.
I've written it and it's very short. But I think that one of the things that has always stayed in our family tradition is that we try to bring it into modern times and think about the message of the story and about what it's like now. And the fact that when you think about the oppression of people, or you think about even the slavery of people, there are places in the world where that is still going on. And it's part of our feeling as Jews of saying, where is that happening in the world? And how can we in any way try to help alleviate that or combat it? It's something, I mean, even if you go back to last century with the Holocaust and the ramifications, and it's just something very alive in Jewish families, that is something that happened, and it's been a history of that kind of stuff, and so you can't escape it. But in a way, it, I don't know, connects us to one another, and you just try to see where injustice is happening in the world, and how best we can, again, fight it.
I do feel like that's how, and that's kind of the point behind The Chosen too, that's how you're going to keep these traditions, these scriptures alive, is by figuring out how to apply it to today.
Yeah.
So it sounds like that's already part of your family's, DNA.
Yeah, well, and honestly, some of the very difficult questions that come up, even in the scope of religion, or with the Bible, or with the story of Jesus. So if you think about these things, the difficult questions, some of the things that we even dealt with or are dealing with in season 5, like the Last Supper, and when Jesus says, I'm going to go away. And you think, as we are leading towards the crucifixion, how do you, I mean, look, we've had 2,000 years of analysis and thought and diving in deep, and what does it mean? And these questions of, why did it have to be this way, or how did this happen? And we try to not shy away from that. We really go, what is happening here? Even questions of death itself, and in the questions of why do certain things happen to some people and not others. In season 4, little James asks, why haven't I been healed? And they have a very difficult conversation about it. And look, we have to deal with those things in life. It is clear that in life, certain people have hardships or things happen that other people don't have to deal with. And that is a major question. And I am so happy to be a part of a show that is like, we're not shying away from that, and we're not glossing over it, and we're not saying, well, you know what, it's just what, it's like, no. Because at the end of the day, when you're home alone and you have had to deal with something really challenging within your own life or your family, those questions come up, and you have to address them face on. And we really try to do that. And season 5, it is a challenge. And for the disciples to think, maybe this isn't going to go the way we thought it was. And if the Messiah is here, shouldn't everything be solved and fixed? And maybe it is, but it's not in the way they thought. And the valley that they will have to go through, I don't think any of them are prepared for.
Yeah, I mean, that's something we always wrestle with.
Right.
Even we know the text, we know the end of the story, it's still a day-to-day thing. We're human. But I'm glad you brought up that season 5 heaviness. Because there's dread, there's heaviness. Season 4, I mean, sort of throughout, it just builds. Every season is harder than the last.
Which isn't that interesting, by the way, that as Jesus essentially arrives in their lives, you think like, okay, like everything's, and it's like, it gets harder and harder and harder. And often that is the way of it, that as you are pursuing a sort of this life, things can get very, very challenging. And in some ways, that is where the answer is.
Well, there's going to be oppression anytime you know that you're doing something that matters.
Yeah.
So season 5 then, well, actually, not even just season 5, up until this point, with all that heaviness, what is your kind of favorite part about sort of the arc of Andrew's character, and maybe ending to where we are now without getting too far ahead of season 5?
Yeah, so I kind of noticed it early on, certainly by the time we got to season 2, is that with Andrew, we start, and Andrew is like having a rough go of it. Okay, is like, I don't know how we're gonna pay for this. I don't even have the money to pay for the penalties on the tax. And then I see Jesus for the first time, and I go, nothing else matters. He's here. Call it, like, done deal. And then we see Andrew with a lot more lightness to him, a lot more like a weight has been lifted off his shoulders. And you think, great, all good to go. And then season 2, we see a huge sort of swing back to anxiety, to fear. And when Andrew sees Jesus being detained, freaks out, for lack of a better term.
Why aren't we doing something about this?
Yeah, and it's like, we have to. And they say, well, he didn't ask for that. And the lack of control, the feeling that I have to make sure everything goes well. And if we let this slip through our fingers, like, how could we? And I think that there is something great to be said through Andrew's journey of, it's not just like a nice, like a little bow on it. It's like you learn and then you swing back and you learn. And we see that a lot. There's a lot of growth. For instance, going to John the Baptist in Herod's dungeon. Huge moment for Andrew. A huge moment of growth. And then we see in season 4, hearing John the Baptist's, the news of his death. And a real sort of uncomfortable and it's sort of messy transition of like, well, I did grieve him so strongly when he was arrested. In a way, I'm like, oh, he's probably going to die. But he did tell me, you have a new rabbi now. Follow him. Follow his message. So I'm like, it doesn't honor him or Jesus to just fall apart. We have a mission to do. And so you see the growth, and it is painful in a way, the growing up, not allowing oneself to sort of just experience it all. It has to, you have to become an adult in a way. That's what it felt like. And in season 5, there is a lack of, there is a sense of denial in a way, because when Jesus says, there is going to come a time, maybe very soon, where I will not be here for you. I am leaving. And he's very heavy and says, obviously, as we know, this is what I will be going through. And we see Andrew struggling with, he can't mean it. He can't, because what does that mean? And if this were to happen to him, what have we all been doing? And they can't see, in hindsight, obviously, it's very easy to say, oh, that was his mission.
We know,
We, as the disciples, had no idea what that would be. And so I think there is a trying to find what else he could have meant. Or he's speaking in metaphor. We just can't understand it yet. Don't go too deep into it. And then it becomes rapidly clearer and clearer that he is obviously saying exactly what he means. Yeah.
So personally, is there a parable or a lesson or a sermon up until this point that has impacted you in a way you didn't expect? Because I know that Sermon on the Mount moment, it's like, what did Jesus say to you? And so now I'm thinking, like, as Noah, is there a lesson that's really hit you in a way like, oh, I didn't think I'd learned that from this?
I mean, you mentioned Sermon on the Mount, and that to me was, I felt like, I don't know, really did hit me and impact me. I felt like there are 2 things that I come back to a lot in my day-to-day life. One is, the one, it's funny, I had just spoken about it earlier today. One is build your house, on the rock. Do not build your house on sand. I really, I think that's something that we could, think about throughout your entire life, because you can feel the ramifications quite quickly if you build on sand. But the one that I think about a lot is I feel horrible to paraphrase, but the, remove the log from your eye before, noticing the speck in your brother's. I think about that a lot because I'm aware that I can forget the things that I need to take care of or do. And it's so easy to see the foibles or problems in others and really not be self-reflective and say, what am I doing to help mitigate this situation, or have I made things worse? I think about that honestly, probably, if not every day, close to that.
Is it because you're competitive?
I'm hyper-competitive.
I know you are.
I'm hyper-competitive. No, I think that I don't know. I think that it's so easy to miss that. It's so easy. And there's so much finger pointing in this world, and even with social media. And there's so much anonymity of finger pointing and being strange in that way. And I just think people are not as reflective as they need to be. And then as an actor, it's just so important to really take stock and think, what am I doing in my life? Or what is upsetting me? What is making me happy? How am I taking care of myself? And it's just so important.
Yeah. Who are you most competitive with on set?
Oh, okay. Well, I will say that when we're on breaks, George, Luke, and I,
Okay.
Judas, John, and Andrew,
Okay.
we will be playing games all the time during breaks. But listen, there can't be competition if you just win every time.
Oh, yeah, right.
So then you're just like, I don't know, man.
Who runs fastest in sandals?
Oh, great. Probably not me. It's got to be Allah. He's fast.
Yeah.
We did a race in season 2, okay? There were 2 crew members who are like essentially professional athletes, and they were crazy fast. And then we all ran, like the disciples in Dallas ran. Not all the disciples, some chose not to participate.
Yes.
But
we know what that means, right?
Yeah, exactly. I wonder why. It's not because you would have won, dude. But Allah's fast. He's crazy athletic. I mean, he like does those flips, and so I mean he's like he started as a stuntman, and he started in martial arts for his whole life, basically. So he's like no joke.
Yeah.
He is. But I will say, George thinks he beat me by a hair. Possible. There was like a photo finish situation. The angle.
It's debatable.
The angle is like, why are you not flush on with the line? You can't be to the person in front. You know, it was called on the day as tied for second, but George believes that he beat me by a hair. He could have beat me by a hair. He probably is faster than me. He grew up playing soccer, do you call it? No, you call it
soccer.
Oh, you do?
Yeah. Yeah.
Look
not
at that.
Football,
Not
even
football.
Even though you use your foot.
I know.
So are you like done wearing sandals? Like when you have to wear sandals in the summer, or are you like, oh, please not sandals?
I don't wear sandals ever in my life.
Yeah.
I've always been that way. Like my parents, when I was growing up, would wear Birkenstocks, and I was like, ew.
Open
is
toes.
that?
Yeah.
No. Like I wear shoes or inside. I just go straight from taking off my shoes to like Ugg slippers.
Oh, okay.
I'm
not Crocs.
Never worn a Croc in my life.
Yeah.
And I don't know that I will.
Yeah.
Doesn't seem like my thing. Yeah. I hear they're comfortable, but they look
Uggs are
so
comfortable. You don't need, if you have
horrid
Uggs
to me.
Yeah.
They just are like, what is happening here?
If you could take a souvenir from set, what would, and you know how people do that. Actors will be like, oh, I took this from the set when we were all done wrapping.
They gave us our cups from the Last Supper.
Okay. Oh.
So I have that on my table at home. Yeah. So
good.
I have that. That was really cool. I always try to take, if I could have the lyre that I played in season 4, but that is very expensive. and I think the composers, it's theirs now, but they literally contacted a company in Greece who makes these ancient instruments based off how they think they would have made it back then.
Yeah.
So they don't do it. So they have like these, the ancient Greek ones, and they have what they built it how they think King David would have had his. So animal skin and everything, really special.
I mean, everything does look so authentic. But it's Texas and Utah, right? Or that's shooting. Have you ever been to Israel?
I have.
Like Birthright?
I went as a kid. I didn't go on Birthright.
Okay.
I should have gone. I didn't go, partially because I went as a kid, and I felt, everyone was like, no, you should go, but I did feel a little bit uncomfortable taking someone's spot. I felt like I would be taking someone's spot, and I went for about a month when I was 9, and I definitely remembered it vividly, and I just felt like it wasn't for me. It was for someone who otherwise had not or wouldn't be able to go, so I just didn't want to do it. But they were like, no, dude, it's for, go. But anyway, that ship has sailed. Yes. I can't do it anymore.
Absolutely. Yeah. We were talking off camera about hair. Do you find like it's your secret weapon?
I don't know. It's a very...
Like for this
I have a tumultuous relationship with it. It's quite unruly. But you've done such a lovely job, so we may need to...
this is about you here.
No. We need to share hair care tips. Yeah. What is your main curly hair care tip, you think?
I found the right product.
Okay.
I won't mention it.
You can?
No, I can't.
Okay.
Honestly, I think I might get the name wrong. It's like argan
oil?
No.
Okay.
No, I thought that was going to work.
Okay.
Does it?
Doesn't for me either.
Something recoil.
Okay.
And honestly, it's taken my entire adult life to be happy with what my hair can do.
It's a constant struggle. I get messages all the time from dudes who are trying to grow their hair out. And they're like, I think it's time for me to try this. And I'm like, okay. And then I have like saved like a literal huge monologue of stuff. I'm like,
The
dude,
full thing.
trust me.
Yeah.
Get your diffuser game
yeah.
or the hot sock, which I'd read they used on Game of Thrones with Jon Snow's hair. Because I'm like, what's this going on? Diffuser, I'm like, you need your curl cream. You need to make sure the scrunching method. Are you doing a lot of the scrunching?
You know what? This product means that, and I don't understand the science behind it, but like if it starts to get flat, I can literally spray it with water and re-scrunch.
Yeah, cool.
But usually you add water and all of a sudden
it.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
But now the tricky thing is like now that I'm happy with my hair, the color is starting to fade a little. Right? Like we're reaching that age where it's like,
look at this though. I like it.
Just a little bit.
Rock 'em.
Yeah. Okay, question for you as we kind of wrap up. Season 5, obviously, we're excited. Easter eggs. Can you tell us like what to look for? Is there some little secret behind the scenes, a little inside joke, something we can look for when we're watching season 5?
Great question. You know what? This popped up. I don't know that it will appear on screen, but there is someone in the chosen world who hangs out during the triumphal entry and was there in the crowd. Welcoming us in. And it was really lovely because as we would pass by, it was like so humbling and to feel that amount of love from the crowd, but then to see an actual
like a
familiar
fan of the
face.
show too?
Like they work. And that people would know.
Okay. I think I might know who you mean, but
Easter egg, if you see.
Leave it
I don't know. I think they may appear on. I'm not giving any more hints here, but yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we're really excited. Season 5.
It's honestly like we're so happy. It's so cool to be. Again, this is my first time in Canada.
Yeah.
We're so excited to be here. We come out March 28th across the nation in theaters. Yeah. So we're just so excited, and that sense of community when you're all kind of watching it at the same time.
And the fact that it's a universe now.
Yeah, I know.
Right? It's like that's a huge thing.
Pretty cool.
It's amazing the impact that it's had and that you get to be a part of it.
Oh,
it's so
thank
cool.
you. So thank you so much.
Noah James, the disciple Andrew, thank you.
Shalom, shalom. Shalom, shalom.